I have to talk to myself before I'm about to do something. So that, and oftentimes I just don't. I end up not recording, which then I'm upset that I'm not recording, and it's a vicious cycle. But those are some of the challenges that I encounter.
Welcome to the Creative Navigators.
We are two unlikely friends exploring resistance by examining the intersection of the creative process, productivity culture, and artistic expression.
Hello, and welcome to the Creative Navigators. It is a beautiful, almost sunny day here in the Pacific Northwest, and we are taking some time to sit down with continuing our interview series with another creative, artistic person, Diana La Creativa.
Yeah.
Joining us today, of course, is my co-host Obed. Say hi, Obed.
Hi,
How are we doing today?
I'm pretty good.
I was remarking before we started recording, the blue background is really cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm always trying to tweak the lighting situation, which
nice.
my end has been kind of all over the place, but we're locking it down, I
Very
think.
cool. Yeah, looks good. You're gonna outpace me here pretty soon. I got nothing going on back here today. Deanna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm a little nervous to be here, but I'm excited as well. Yeah,
Hey, turn that creative, nervous energy into creative energy. It's gonna work
for
out well.
sure.
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I know you as Diana, but you're trying to kind of push the more Spanish pronunciation of your name. So make sure I get that right.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Deanna.
I'm
Okay.
Deanna.
If
Yes.
I flub, feel free to correct me, of course.
Yeah.
So we'll just launch right on into chatting with you. Just first of all, do you want to introduce yourself, Deanna? Let us know a little bit about who you are and what your creative projects are all about.
Yeah, well, I'm Diana La Creative. I think I just gave myself that name this year, actually. And I create videos on YouTube, and I'm just trying to get into content creation. And also, I think on the side, exploring my creative side because I've never really done that before. So I've been like watercoloring and playing with all kinds of random stuff just to see what sticks and what doesn't. But yeah.
That's really cool. Especially because you're starting to stream. You can stream anything these days. So you can stream watercolor, you can stream, making food. So
Yeah, I
go
forgot to
nuts.
talk about that, but I did I've been trying to think about how I want to engage with my YouTube community. And I'm not on TikTok, I'm off Instagram, so I really want to like play around with YouTube and what YouTube has to offer. And I have been doing live streams with my partner, so every Sunday when we meal prep, we just go on live and we listen to music and make drinks and just talk to people. And I've actually been doing it for, I think, like 6 weeks now, maybe. And it's been really fun. Yeah, we really enjoy it.
Right on. Uh,
Yeah.
do you mind if I plug your channel a little bit? You took a year-long hiatus and went traveling around the world and kind of documented that while you were doing that. What was that like?
So kind of, okay, so I left, yes, I quit my job and I left the US and I traveled through Mexico and Asia, and it was 5 months, short of 6 months. And I actually didn't really film as much while I was out there. I was very tempted to, but I wanted to really rest. Like, I think the point of me going away was to get away from the chaos and the routine and whatnot. And so I mean, yeah, I definitely took footage while I was out there, but I wasn't vlogging, which is like my typical style of creation. But I also wanted to like remember what I experienced at each location. So I would take like the last day of every place that I was at. I would find a location and I would film just like a overview of what I did. And that was really fun. And I feel like now, because I traveled with G, my partner, we sometimes are like, damn, like we should have done like a whole YouTube series of this, but I mean, I can't. I think I needed the rest, but for sure, like traveling moving forward, I'm definitely going to be filming because I think it's more fun that way. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, travel vlogging it's not like you just pull out your camera. There's a very much an intentionality to it to make it interesting at the very least. Um,
Yeah.
and like you're saying, you just want to enjoy your trip. Like I'm just wanted to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I have to, like, whenever I'm doing something fun or exciting, I always ask myself, do I want to film this or do I want to actually be in the moment and enjoy it? And that was part of me deciding not to film my trip, that I really wanted to just enjoy it. Because yeah, when you're vlogging your travels, you're working almost and you're not really
Yeah.
resting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course you don't want to be that tourist with their camera out filming everything all the time.
Oh yeah. Like I think I was that person because I went to Mexico for my cousin's wedding in last October and I really had to get over that fear of filming in front of people. My family especially because of course everyone had comments and questions and what was I doing and whatnot. And it was the first time I actually told my family that I had a YouTube channel. And of course now they all watch me, which is I don't know how I feel about that, but it's fine. But yeah, no, filming in front of people and like being that person that's like, got your camera in there is
Hmm.
annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll find that happy balance when you do start traveling some more and documenting. So,
Yeah.
um, so I guess our first question to kind of springboard our discussion today, and I like how you said you're not on TikTok or Instagram because the first question mentions in a social media landscape and a slash attention economy. Uh, how did you develop your creative practice, or how are you developing your creative practice? Maybe more apt, and any steps you're taking to maintain that creative practice.
Yeah. I actually don't really think I have a creative process. And part of that is because I really am starting to um take on this creative journey of believing that I am creative. Because I think for a really long time, I didn't even think that I was creative. I would tell people that I wasn't able to draw, I wasn't able to do anything because I'm not a creative person. And now that I realize we are all creative people, um, I I'm trying to figure out what works for me. I feel like if I sit down and try to plan out a video, what ends up happening is, like I mentioned, I script a lot because then I start second guessing what I'm gonna say or if I'm getting the right shot. And so, like, I've tried doing storyboards and like played with different websites to see if I could like plan out like shot by shot.
Mm,
But then, like, the rule follower in me just wants to do exactly what's on that script or what's on that storyboard. And I think my creative process actually gets hindered and I'm
mm,
unable to really explore. Whereas when I'm just like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna go out here and film today, I'm able to look at the landscape and be like, oh, that's really pretty, or let me just go and do this. And I feel like I've been learning along the way, like what is working, what isn't working. Like I recently made a video with my mom, a tamale making video, and we both spoke Spanglish the entire time. And it was really hard to go through the editing of it and uh, having to put captions in English and Spanish and just going back and forth. So I'm learning what I need to prepare for. But I don't really have a creative process. I mean, I do have tools like I have an idea dump on my phone and like I have a spreadsheet on Google Sheets that I like idea dump or try to like have some kind of format before I film. But I don't really have a process yet. Yeah. And
So
that's
it's more
probably
like,
because I'm a baby creative right now. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's more like just kind of like leaning into the spontaneity of
mm,
it and opportunities, like just kind of leaning into opportunities that present themselves, and maybe that is more inspiring. Can I ask, like, um what kind of inspired you to even want to begin exploring your own creativity? I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on one of your questions, but
No.
uh
Yeah.
that's
no,
good.
yeah, I'm
Keep
just
rolling.
curious, like, why did you what inspired you to begin that journey?
I think it came from travel. So after I went away, or while I was away, I had a lot of time. I wasn't working. And so I was trying to figure out what to do with my time because, of course, I was trying to be productive while I
Mhm.
rested. And in doing that, I was trying to go through this list of all of the things that I wanted to do, but I never really had time for when I had a full-time job and was, living the busy life here. And so I just kind of started going through the list of like, let me see what short content creation is like. Like, let me film myself cooking while I'm in Mexico and I have all the time in the world. So I started doing that. And yeah, it was just like randomly me being like, okay, I've always wanted to try watercoloring. Let me try it now. Uh, and I really enjoyed it. And I realized that, yeah, we all are able to hone into this like creative side if only we all had the time. Um, but we're just, expending all of our time and energy in our jobs and all the other stuff that I think that not having those responsibilities, not having any real responsibilities while I was traveling really let me explore that side of me.
So that very much into the theme of our anti-capitalist discussion that we have is capitalism destroys our creativity and leaves us without time and emotional energy to do so.
Totally.
Yeah. There's two things I was thinking about while you're talking is initially not thinking you're a creative person because I have always thought of myself as a creative person. I fell more into the second part of what you were saying about lack of time and energy to do it. If it's okay with, is that something you could speak to as maybe pressures or influences that made you feel like you weren't a creative person? Like you never had teachers or anybody kind of mentor that or encourage you in that way?
Yeah. I think you and I have talked about it in our personal texting, but yeah, I
You're
think
fine to not share anything too personal if you want to skip over
no, for
that.
sure. I think growing up, I was kind of told that I needed to focus on getting an education and focus on taking care of like my brother and my cousins. And growing up, I just kind of I had all of these responsibilities at a really young age, sadly. And so I didn't really have time, I guess, to be creative. I also, I am a child of immigrants and they were just trying to survive. And so they didn't really have time to take me to a paint class or to like sit with me and teach me how to do X, Y, and Z. And so I think that was part of it. I tried taking like an art class in high school and I wasn't good, I guess. I don't know what that even means, but I I guess there was really no one in my life to tell me or to encourage me to explore my creativity. And I started making YouTube videos back in 2008, actually. And while I was making those videos, I think it was always kind of like a joke almost. Or I got teased a lot by different people talking about how I wasn't gonna be successful. Like if
Yeah.
I was trying to be a YouTuber, like I wasn't gonna make any money. Like there was a lot of discouragement. Even when I went to Mexico, like this past year, I had a couple comments from family members being like, "Oh, what, you think you're a creator?" Or like, "Oh, what, you think you're gonna be like
Hmm.
a YouTuber?" And so, yeah, I think the commentary, of course, impacted that. But yeah, I guess I just like didn't really have anyone to encourage me to explore my creativity because the people around me were just really honestly trying to survive. And so creativity was like an extra thing that you get to explore that were not afforded.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I really echo that feeling because it's very similar, like in my family with, it's it's like they're technically immigrants, and my family's Puerto Rican. So the immigrant experience in terms of like, okay, you're coming from a place that, they come to the mainland basically for more opportunities. There is still a language barrier, even despite that, Puerto Rico's a colony. Um, it's easier to travel, but you still have a lot of the other cultural like baggage with being like an immigrant. But yeah, it's the same mentality of like, you have to work. Work equals survival equals livelihood. Everything, it's anything that has to do with exploring creativity, especially the way that I think a lot of people conceive it as, the arts, performance, or just even expressing yourself really is it's really seen as a luxury. It's not seen as essential. It's not seen as something that enriches your life in a way. Everything is about work, everything is about survival to make sure that everyone is fed. It's like very base stuff, but I still think that all that stuff is kind of essential. It's another aspect, but we have this like concept that's kind of like imposed on us that it's not as important. It's not as and I also had like a lot of difficulty with that because growing up from a very young age I knew I was like creative, artistic, all that kind of thing, and I think that led to a lot of tension with certain members of my family and what I wanted to do versus what was expected versus still trying to actually make a livelihood because poverty and all that stuff. So no, but yeah, so I really echo that feeling of the tension of wanting to pursue something versus what's being expected of you, and I do think that that is such a like thing of immigrant families of feeling that really strong sense of duty and loyalty to your family and to upholding what their values are versus what you want, which might be different.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You both kind of talked about that being teased or joked about. Deanna, you mentioned in 2008, like that was kind of the height of the joke that everybody was starting a blog and only your mom and your dog read it. Um, and it's funny how social media has changed that landscape where now it's like you're expected to create, but it all serves the algorithm. It serves the attention economy, and it's not something that you do for yourself anymore. So we've already kind of dove into this, but maybe just even more specifically, challenges that you encounter in your creative process. So now that you are actively trying to cultivate that, you've mentioned multiple times already watercolor, and even just forcing yourself to do some watercolors, the videos that you create. What are some challenges you've faced, and how are you trying to overcome them?
Yeah. I have kind of touched on some of like my tendencies, one being the rule follower. So I think when I am trying to be creative and trying to explore wherever I am in, trying to film or whatever, I run into that feeling of like, oh, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing this like other creators. No one's watching my videos. No one's liking my
Hmm.
videos. I must not be doing something right. So then, the self-doubt comes in. I think that's another big challenge for me. And like the self-criticism, I can be really mean to myself about like what I'm creating, if it's good enough, if it's worth someone else's attention. If I'm wasting people's time almost, I feel like, which is a very Vienna thing to do, is like, I don't want to waste your time. So, like, if I'm not creating good content, I'm just not going to even post it, not even going to edit it. And that goes into like, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time because I should be productive. And if the content isn't good, then what am I doing? Which is like a horrible cycle to go through. I also really struggle with like people pleasing, and that also goes in line with like, am I making videos that are gonna make people happy? Or if I'm not, then what am I doing? So
Hmm.
it's a lot of like internal dialogue. It's exhausting. And I think the algorithm knows that because of course it like sends me all kinds of stuff to like do this and you'll get thousands of views, or do this and you'll get likes and blah blah blah. And so then I end up watching those videos and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. But then I'm like, fuck, like I'm not enjoying this anymore. Like it's not fun anymore to be doing videos just for people to watch and like or comment. So like I'm doing this thing with this Buddhist monk and he was telling me or he suggested that I completely remove the comments from my videos and I'm like, but then how will I create community in my YouTube? So it's a lot of like more than anything, it is just the internal dialogue. Like I said, I'm really shy when I'm filming in front of other people. Like if other people are watching me while I'm filming, then I really shut down and I'm like, fuck it, like I'm not gonna record anymore. And so it really is having to push through. I have to talk to myself before I'm about to do something. So that, and oftentimes I just don't. I end up not recording, which then I'm upset that I'm not recording, and it's a vicious cycle. But those are some of the challenges that I encounter in
Yeah,
the
that's pretty wild. I benefit from the being a white dude privilege where I think that everybody wants to hear everything that I say all the time. So I don't struggle with that. But the other stuff you're mentioning, I do struggle with where it's like I spend too much time on planning and I spend so much time on like wanting to make it perfect that I never do something. And then I beat myself up because I'm not doing the thing that I want to be doing. And I've found the most success I've ever found with my stuff is when I just kind of say fuck it and I just do whatever, right? So it sounds like that's what you're saying is like if you're just giving yourself permission gradually that you can just do what you want to do to make you happy and you will find that audience that you'll connect with.
Yeah, totally. I think I need to stop. I also need to sometimes I watch too many other creators and I start to want to do the things that they're doing because they're more successful or whatever. But I don't, but that goes against like who I am and what I want to do for my YouTube channel. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's a work in progress. So I'm trying to figure it out.
So that could kind of parlay into, and this might, you don't have ton time to pre-think about this, so if off the cuff is okay. But that concept of like the attention economy and capitalism and how social media just wants like this mindless content to be consumed. And like when you're looking at, other content that talks about how to do that, how to create that sort of content, that's what Obed and I have been working on this project is like we're just going to start creating for the stuff that we want to create or stuff that's going to connect us with other people. Do you have any like thoughts or any process about getting out of your head, kind of pushing back on almost like in a subversion of that attention economy kind of way, but at the same time having to use these tools because that's what's available to us.
Yeah. I mean, I think I journal a lot. I journal about these things that I'm constantly like I think fear of actually being successful is very real. Like for me, I like want to get that validation, but then I'm also
Mhm.
like afraid that if I do get that, then I'm gonna be like I'm gonna have this responsibility to keep creating content. Like I owe it to
Mhm.
people almost.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, and so I keep going back and forth between like, do I actually, what do I want out of this? And I think journaling just with myself, just talking through all of these things that come up for me, like where is this fear coming from? Where is this people pleasing coming from? What if you took off your comments or what if you don't get the views that you want? Like, does that, why are you creating? Um, I think that's what's been helping me kind of push through these barriers to create content. Yeah. I also have a really supportive partner who like I think I've I think I've shared this with you before, Jordan, but I was married before and that person was like not happy whenever I pull out the camera. And I think that was part of why I stopped filming, I think in like 2014 or 2015. But my partner today, like, is always trying to help me get the shot and like encourage me to make videos and watches my videos before I publish them. And so his support actually is another big motivator for me. Like whenever I'm in my head, I just talk to him and he'll kind of help me get out of that.
So in a very tangible way, having the right community has helped you to improve your creative process.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, have you done any work or had any opportunities to kind of build a local network of creators there in the area that you're at?
Um, yes and no. I think in the beginning I did meet a gal who I feel like she is a creative. She is a writer, and I haven't really hung out with her too much, but then recently G and I, because my partner is a musician, so he's kind of in this creative world as well. We found this it was a Latino creative workshop, I think was the name of it, here in Tacoma, and we went to it and we tried making connections with a bunch of people. But we were like, it was very different generations in that space. And I don't think I met anyone else that was making YouTube videos. So there was one gal that I met that I connected with, and I hung out with her last week. And I wanted to really put myself out there. I didn't really know her, but I was like, I really want to create a community of people that are also creative because I think she's trying to bring a a story to film. And I don't know, she doesn't really have connections out here either. And I'm like, I mean, I'm no videographer, but maybe I could help. So yeah, I think I'm trying to, but I'm also in a stage of like wanting to be home and not really hanging out with people. Um, so that's kind of been the barrier for me to really create a community. I need to get myself out there a little more.
No, hey, I hear you. I'm getting back into game development this year, and Seattle actually has a really strong game development community.
Oh,
But you see me going to the meetups? No, no.
yeah.
So no judgment there. Obed, did you have look like you might have something you wanted to interject with?
I mean, no, I'm just listening intently. I'm following every word, but I do think it's interesting of the oh, what was the piece about just like the challenges, with creating. Just I really feel that the it's just interesting how we're always like, oh, maybe if I had more time or if I had more, if everything was just like the way that I needed it to be, we would create, but then we still have all the internal stuff that is it never really gets resolved, and maybe a lot of times that's really the big obstacle that we're always facing. Yeah. And
That,
mhm.
that kind of parlays into the next question that we have here is like emotional intellectual burnout. I that's for me what I find most often is not even time anymore. It's the that like internal spark to get up and want to create something is what I kind of struggle with. So Deanna, you mentioned about lack of time, but like, do you also feel like you struggle with emotional burnout or creative burnout or intellectual burnout that also kind of hinders that creative process?
Yeah. I mean, I think burnout was what led me to quit my job and, and leave the country, right? And so I'm very familiar with burnout. And I think now I'm not totally, I mean, the world's on fire. So it's hard to not get burnt out by like watching the news and
Hmm.
then to like try and be creative after something like that. It's hard. But I do try to just be really intentional about where I'm putting my energy and attention. And like I said, writing really helps. See a therapist every week and we talk about the stuff that I write or the things that like come up when I'm trying to explore what it is about like failure. Like what does that mean to me in terms of YouTube and why am I so like physically afraid to create sometimes? So that's really helpful for me. And then just removing myself from social media and like I said, like the other, sometimes I go down the rabbit hole and just like watch other creators and then start feeling sorry for myself because I'm not creating content like them or whatever. And so I just limit that amount of intake so that I feel like when I don't have all of the outside commentary and I can really just sit with myself and meditate even, I think it's helpful and it something sparks and I feel creative. It's when I'm like, yeah, it's when like I'm in the shower or like when I'm at the
Yeah.
gym and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I need to go film this right now.
Mhm.
So that's why I have the idea dumps on my phone of like, okay, you need to go do this thing and or voice notes too. I like voice note myself
Mhm.
ideas.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had to get a little something to carry around everywhere because in the shower, on a walk, driving somewhere is when I have my best ideas. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obed, were you going to say something?
No, no, just listen.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I hear you're saying that Obed and I talk about quite frequently. I something that I kind of struggle with personally is that like perfectionism, and I think I'm hearing a little bit of that from you too, where in your mind's eye you can kind of conceptually think of the thing that you want to create and get there, but as I keep being reminded, like something done or completed is better than a perfect idea that never gets put on paper. Is there any steps you've been taking to kind of like overcome that perfectionist desire? I know you've talked about like stop comparing to other creators, but um, yeah, like what are those first steps? What does that feel like?
I mean, yeah, I definitely feel like especially when I'm watching footage. So after I've filmed, right, and I'm editing stuff, I'm like, God damn it, like I should have done this, I should have done that. Why didn't I mic this guy up or why didn't I do this or whatever? And I'll edit a little bit and then I'll put it away. And then
Mm,
I'll come back to it like 3 days later. And then I have like a new perspective, of course. And so then I edit and then it happens again. I put it away and I come back and I add music. And then like the music makes everything better. And so I know that I'm gonna go through these like ups and downs when I'm creating or when I'm editing. And I think it really is about just pushing through. And to your point, like, yes, I want it to be perfect and I want the lighting to be perfect and the audio to be perfect, but it doesn't always work out that way. Especially when with the type of videos that I make, I do really want to capture like authentic living, but
mm.
sometimes that means that like the camera's not ready for that,
Yeah.
right? And so then I'll tell someone like, "Can you do it again?" Like I didn't catch it. I didn't get capture that on the video. But then I feel like, oh, that's not authentic. So it's like, yeah, it's hard. It's definitely I struggle with the perfectionism, but I try to push through it because I know at the end of the day that if people want to watch curated content, like it's definitely out there. There's
Mm,
some really beautiful aesthetic. There's cinematog like people are making real good stuff on YouTube.
mhm.
And I gotta remember that I have my own, like no one has my perspective or my point of view. And and that's what I want to showcase on my YouTube channel. Like no one has the same upbringing that I did, or like, all of the experiences that have led me to be the person I am today. And I try to remember that when I'm creating content, that it really is original. Like I'm making original content. And so it can't be perfect. I'm not perfect. So yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Some of the challenges you're mentioning earlier are some that I personally struggle with, and then there's other challenges that I don't personally struggle with, but at a certain point, just gotta do it. I hate that. I hate that advice where it's like you get to the end of the day and it's like you just gotta do it. Like nobody's gonna come
How
and
to do.
I'm going to give you $1 million to paint the, Sistine Chapel. Like that's not going to happen until you build something first. Which kind of goes back to that broader discussion that we have over and over and over again about how capitalism ruins creativity. And yeah.
It does
Um,
create a lot of obstacles, but
mhm,
yeah, I mean, I echo that sentiment of, but at the end of the day, it really is like you just gotta do. I like what you said though earlier of you- if you have something that you can work with at the end of
mm,
the day, like that's something that's like either a starting point or another step, right, in the on the path on the journey. Like is and I remember when I was in art school, I had an art teacher that would tell me it's like don't keep working on it, just make it look finished.
Mhm.
Just make it look finished. Like don't if you keep if if he was like, "Oh, if I let you just keep working on it and you'll notice all the little details that nobody else sees and just keep working, you'll never ever finish it and then you'll hate it." It's like just get it to a state where it looks finished and there you go. Now you have a finished piece. It's
Hmm.
like, eh, and I think the more you do that, the more you kind of get past that hesitation to start or the perfectionism, kind of like the self-critical thing that kind of makes us want to like just stop. It's like, no, you just get do the one thing and then it gets easier the next time. It gets easier the next time. Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, I feel like the more you do it, the better you end up like
Yeah.
getting. I feel like if I watch videos from like when I first started doing this, yeah, I'm not super proud of them, but I had to do all of those, right? And every video I learned something new, even now, like about like little things that are making my content better every time that I create. So I even just for that reason alone of learning from the creative process has been a motivator for me. Like just do it because you know you're going to learn something from this video, this experience, whatever you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Yeah, there's two things that I always kind of come back to with that. The first one is somebody once told me just like turn the faucet on. And in writing specifically, like you're sitting at a blank word processor and you see that cursor blinking, and it's like literally just get stuff on the paper and that turning on the faucet, so to speak, to get yourself to start writing and get some stuff out of there. That's been some of my best writings when I just am like literally every thought I'm having is going on the piece of paper and then it finally starts coming out. And then the other one is that building that creative process is like if you want to become an athlete or go to the gym, start lifting weights, you don't just walk in the gym and lift 100-pound weights, right? You have to build up to it. So same thing, do the reps. There's something else I want to go back to that you mentioned about like that being authentic and like, of course, there are people on YouTube who have the resources to make some really fantastic stuff. But as I'm kind of retraining my algorithm, I keep coming across people who do, I won't say lower effort, but not as high production value, maybe. And all the comments are like, this is actually the stuff that I want to see. I'm sick and tired of seeing that highly curated, very specific, overly produced content and what YouTube was originally designed to do. And I think even to some extent Instagram was as well as kind of expose the more authentic side to creativity and expression. So it's out there. Your audience there's people out there who want to hear what you have to say. You just have to have the faith and trust in yourself that you have something worth saying.
For sure. I mean, I am my audience. Like, I'm also looking for authentic content that doesn't feel super edited or curated. So
Sure.
I know we're out there for sure. Yeah.
Sure. So being mindful of time, I just kind of have one last question. I like how we have in our notes, Obed, it says, but non-generic, lol.
Yeah.
What keeps you inspired to keep creating? Because like inspiration is one of those, uh, so I'm going to actually slightly tweak it. Like, how are you building the discipline of being a creative person or getting into artistic endeavors? And then you can kind of also springboard into inspirations that you take.
Yeah. Well, I think as someone that also consumes content, long form content, I feel like you know, if you're watching certain creators, you follow along with their life and you do kind of want to know like if they're studying for an exam or if they're gonna do a race, like you want to know what's gonna happen or what's the preparation, whatever. You want to follow through with what's going on. And so I feel like for me, I don't just want to leave people hanging. I feel like if I'm asking people to be a part of my community, I have to engage with them in some shape or form. And there is a level of commitment to create content to keep that connection going. And so because I also have a job and responsibilities, I don't want this to become another job for me. Like I want this to remain fun and exciting. I did, you know, I've watched a lot of videos on how like if you create shorts every single day, whatever, like people will just want to consume. But I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I try to hold myself to like 1 to 2 videos a month just to continue to connect with my community that I'm trying to curate. And the lives I think are also really helpful for me because they're super easy. Like I really am just cooking in the kitchen with my boyfriend on a Sunday. We're meal prep. We're already doing the thing that we're doing. So the lives are helping. I'm committed to that. And yeah, I think because again, I consume long form content myself, I don't often see people with like a similar background. So right now, like what I'm really into is my identity as a Chicana, as a Mexican American. And I haven't found anyone who creates content that talks to that experience. I'm not saying it's not out there. I'm sure it is, but I personally want to showcase this experience of being Mexican, American, Latino, Chicano, whatever it is that your identity is, what that's like. Because I do think it's very different. I think the way I see the world is just different than my peers. And I haven't really found that content out there. So that is like back to your question of inspiration, like why do I create? Um, I feel like growing up, I didn't really, there wasn't as much representation. And so because of that, like I didn't think that I could create content that people wanted to watch. And so, yeah, I kind of want to create that. I kind of want to be part of that representation and that community that's not as like curated and beautiful and cinematography. Like I just want it to be normal and casual and fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the live stuff for me tricks my brain into thinking I'm being productive, even if I'm doing the same thing I'd be doing if I weren't streaming it. So I hear on that. That's really nice. Yeah. So you're like you are your own inspiration, then you're trying to find you haven't found the content that you want to view, so you're creating it for yourself and whatever audience would follow.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah.
And I would say I'll add, I was looking at a couple of your videos and I'm like, they do look great. They do look really nice and considered and but still retaining that like authentic feel. It doesn't seem too put upon, but it definitely is considered like you are thinking about camera angles, but in a way that I feel like is this is serving the storytelling. It feels natural, feels very natural. Yeah. But it looks nice. It looks
Thank you. I laugh because I get so shy when someone
I,
is like, "Oh, I watched your video," and I'm
Oh,
like,
you
"Oh
watched my
my God,
video?
what did you
yeah.
think?"
It was good. I enjoyed it. I love the personality, the warmth that really comes through. I think that's what you're trying to really put out there, and that is definitely the kind of thing that I like to follow for sure.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks for taking this time to chat with us today. You and I have known each other for coming up on 6 years now. So
Oh, wow.
um, we've had tons and tons of conversations about everything and anything under the sun. So it's nice to get to chat with you. Uh, do you have anything you want to plug? Where can we find Diana La Creative on internet?
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you guys for having me. This was really fun. And yeah, I would love to come back again when I am at a different stage of my creative journey. But yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Diana La Creative. I do lives every Sunday and I try to make long form content once to twice a month. I'm also going to be going to Arizona at the end of the month. And so I'm going to be filming all of that. So yeah, some fun videos are coming in the next couple months. But
Very
yeah,
cool. Yeah, and not on that Insta anymore though, huh?
I'm going back. So right now, that's actually kind of what's on my mind. I mean, Meta, you know.
hmm
And so I am struggling to decide because I haven't posted a picture on Instagram in years. The app is not on my phone, but
hmm
I do log in to the web browser every now and then. And I'm trying to decide if I actually want to make my Instagram Diana La Creative and only post like creative content and make it less personal. Because I do like a lot of the pictures that I have on there. And some of the people that I've met through YouTube actually go to my Instagram and they're like, oh, wow, like you're doing cool pictures. And so I don't know what I want to do with it yet, but I'm thinking about it for sure.
Very cool. Well, I will put it in the bio and people can follow if they want to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, you can share it, but it sometimes takes me a while to get back on there. Yeah.
Obed, you got anything for us? Any words of wisdom to impart?
I mean, I just no, I mean, I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm very happy to have met you virtually. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that Arizona trip. Really beautiful here, so looking forward
We'll
to
get
seeing all the videos that come out of that.
Thank you.
we'll get to experience Arizona vicariously through you. So
Yeah, we got a van, so it's gonna be fun.
Oh
It's
my
gonna be
nice.
gosh.
like,
Love
yeah,
it.
we're gonna be vanning it up at the Grand Canyon.
You
Oh,
mean
that's
like camping out of the van and driving around, or yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We're only going for 10 days, right? But yeah, I'm committed to filming the entire process. So
that's
you guys
Nice,
will
amazing.
watch me. Yeah, for sure.
nice,
Yeah, I
very
love
cool.
that. That is like some of my favorite stuff to just people going to interesting places and just doing, especially in nature, like that is I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.
That's where the whole thing about like I don't want this to be a business thing starts to kind of nag at me a little bit
Mhm.
because if you were to like start a business and your
Oh,
business was travel vlogging, you can like write off all of your travel expenses as part of your
true.
business, and then it's like, ah, should I? No, but yeah,
Totally. Even just
yeah,
like all the electronics that I'm buying, like yes,
yeah.
the footage is better, but that's because I just spent a ton of
I just
money on a
spent
new
fifteen hundred
camera.
dollars on a lens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would love to write that off. Yeah. No,
yeah.
even the business thing, I'm definitely like, should I just so I can write this stuff off? But for sure.
Eh, we are not a tax or business podcast, so I
Yeah.
will leave it at that. Um, all right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks again, Obed, for joining me. Deanna, we will plug your stuff in our information session. Thanks for joining us today. We are working at developing that community, so we'll definitely stay in touch. Plus, you know me, you know where I live, so you can always come shake down my door if you want. And thank you to our audience for tuning in this week. We will catch you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you for taking this journey with us. How are you creatively expressing yourself this week? We're gathering a community of creatives, so join us in our Discord or connect with us on social media. You can find all of the links below.